Hello pandas of the internet, my name is Panda-chan. I'm a full-time artist-ish, a part-time cosplayer, and someone who just got Baldur's Gate 3. But before I devote every free moment of the next week to it, I should probably record a story for you all. In this week's horror story, we see how a Call of Cthulhu game turns from a horror to a weekly comedy. So, if you're all ready, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. This RPG horror story was submitted by Half Balanced. Haster. About a decade or so ago, my wife and I scrounged together an RPG group in a small Midwestern town. We drew in people from several counties and often provided transport for a majority of the players. We live in the largest town in the area, but there was no real bus or mass transport service. Although we had a depth of players, we had a surplus of GMs. Everyone had a different system they wanted to play and run, so we settled on a round-robin GMing style. Every 3 to 5 weeks, it was a weekly game night, a new player would GM. Some were better than others. We tried to give everyone a break until Cthulhu Pants. Cthulhu Pants was an oddball. Coming from money, his dad was a retired government muckety-muck, his mom was an inventor of something, and voicing bizarre opinions that came from confused recollections of childhood friends around the globe. No one deserves happiness. The truth behind cancer is the confusion of the middle-class network. That kind of thing. It was always hard to tell if he was a broken kid or a masterful troll. Perhaps both. He ran an awful game based on the Slayers anime franchise, with too many naughty jokes and no adventure whatsoever. He ran an awful game based on the Neon Genesis Evangelion, in which all the NPCs were basically cardboard cutouts that repeated one phrase over and over again, no matter what question you asked them. But his crowning achievement was why we call him Cthulhu Pants. He ran the same scenario for us, the one you find in the back of every edition of Call of Cthulhu from 1 to 5, the haunted house. 5 times in a row. You know the one. There's a creepy house with a telekinetic vampire named Corbett in the basement. Things float around. The upstairs bedroom beats up investigators. About halfway through, a minor horror from another dimension jumps out of the cupboard. Nope, I don't know, but that sounds really fun. 2 GMs had read the scenario, and 3 of us had played it. I had both read and played the scenario. We warned Cthulhu Pants that most of us knew what happened in this adventure and that he might want to switch things up a bit. The only player in the group who had no experience with this particular adventure, a lovely young lady from the community college, couldn't show up that evening. He didn't change a thing. Everything was exactly where it was in the scenario in the book. We really tried not to go directly where the main antagonist was hiding beneath a panel in the basement. We put up with some poltergeist hijinks and lost a few points of sanity just to get things over with. Call it a speedrun where we tried to make it look like it wasn't a speedrun. I think we did okay. The next week, it was still Cthulhu Pants' go as GM. The player who missed last session showed up and made the Cthulhu investigator, at which point Cthulhu said that he would run the adventure again. Since she had missed last session, Cthulhu Pants had a little crush on the girl. She got married to someone else less than a year later. We groaned and asked if maybe Cthulhu Pants could run one of the other adventures out of the basic Cthulhu book. We had read those too, and we thought speedrunning all the basic adventures might be worthwhile. But no, Cthulhu Pants insisted on doing the same one again. So I said I'd like to try something new and play the game more like a character in a horror movie, by which I mean stupidly oblivious to danger and stubbornly insisting nothing supernatural could ever happen. My character survived, the one girl who never played didn't. The next week, Cthulhu Pants handed around a character sheet on how to play Call of Cthulhu, which irritated all of us, including the one girl who hadn't. Not only because it came from the basic book, but because we were all horror movie fans. And he ran us through the same scenario again. That's like the third time. My god. This time, we all played horror movie characters. We did every horror movie shtick we could think of, from walking through the house calling for each other, to bringing inappropriate clothing and supplies, to avoiding the basement where we knew the actual monster we had to kill to end the scenario lay helplessly waiting for our wooden stakes or whatever at all costs. I survived again. The girl Cthulhu Pants had a crush on did not. So, the next week, Cthulhu Pants said he would give us one more chance to solve the adventure. This time, we sold tickets to the haunted house and invited the elite of Arkham County Society to a demonstration of actual ghost activities. The girl Cthulhu Pants lusted after had a wonderful time luring the upper crust, mock innocently, to their doom. Most of them got eaten by the dimensional shambler. This time she survived. I didn't. The next week, it was Cthulhu Pants' last chance to run a game before GM rotated. We sat with bated breaths because we knew what was coming. We had side bets on whether he realized what he was doing or whether he thought we were genuinely bad at a game that so many of us had played several times before, usually at conventions. He already admitted he didn't watch as many horror movies as we did. The girl he liked was a huge horror buff. She had the best collection of Clive Barker novels in the county. So, he sat us down for our Cthulhu finale, as he put it, and said we were running something called Terror in Boston. But it was the Corbett house again. He even used the same introductory patter with the name slightly changed. He didn't bother changing the vampire's name. Okay. RPCs set the house on fire in the game without bothering to go inside, waiting for the 1930s authorities, and told him he wasn't allowed to GM Call of Cthulhu anymore. His next turn as GM, he ran a cult game that was just as terrible and lacked in the horror thrills as you might expect, but at least it wasn't the haunted house. Well, that's one way to run a game. There is precedent in running a loop scenario where the players relive the same day over and over again, but I don't really think that's what Cthulhu Pants was doing. The story itself was hilarious overall. I kept having to stop the recording because I was laughing, but I hope they're doing well and playing fun games together. Hopefully different games and different modules. With that, we have come to the end of the horror story. Leave me a like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me what one-shot would you like to replay over and over and over again. The link to the original story is in the description, so go give it a read. You can find my social media down below as well, and with all that being said, I will see you next time.